What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Welcome back into JC's Pop Culture. I'm JC, where I'm bringing you all kinds of pop culture content. Could be anything from movie news to TV show reviews. But today, it's another EA Sports College Football 25 update, and we got some massive news coming out today. ESPN just this morning releasing an article not only confirming the NIL payments that players will receive, we've also got updates on social media that have been sent out from players where they're receiving emails that they can now start opting into the game. So we now know exactly what NIL amount players will receive dollar wise. They're going to receive a copy of the game. All kinds of good shit here. Plus, some more information about the game has come out that we hadn't previously known. So a pretty massive news leak here for EA Sports College Football 25 this morning. Let's go through some of this. I'm going to pull up this ESPN article and highlight some of the stuff that's new that we haven't learned yet. And we're going to talk about this here on JC's Pop Culture. All right, so you can find this on ESPN. Just posted this morning, Thursday, February 22nd. NIL realignment and everything to know about the new EA Sports College Football game. On Thursday, EA Sports explained to ESPN its name, image, and likeness plan for the first version of the new game. Every athlete who opts into the game and has his NIL used will get $600 and a copy of the game as a baseline payment, with the potential for more lucrative NIL opportunities in the future. In addition, EA Sports revealed other details about the game itself. As previously reported, Dynasty Mode will return. We know this. What else might be coming? And it talks about why the game went away, la-di-da. We know all that shit. Let's get on down to here. So EA solved its real-life NIL question. Will NIL be part of the game too? Actually, yes. There will be NIL components in the Dynasty and Road to Glory modes. So that's confirmed. Dynasty is where you take over a college football program. Yeah, we know this shit. If you think about representing what's happening in the sport, when we talk about things like Dynasty and Road to Glory, there's new ways to recruit. There's transfer portals. There's NIL. There's a lot of things to think about. Said Daryl Holt, EA Sports Senior Vice President. And he goes on to say that has really added to the complexity and the intrigue of the sport that we want to make sure is there for our players. Holt wouldn't go into exact details about how EA Sports is planning on implementing the transfer portal or NIL, just that they'll be in there. So we get some representation of those. Let's look at conference realignment. They'll also will be in the game. And we know that this shit was in, the last version of NCAA football 14. You could rename conferences, you could move teams around. So, of course, I'm sure they'll probably have that in as well. That'll also be in the game. EA Sports said all 134 FBS teams will be in the game, as well as the 12-team college football playoff and every single bowl game. Only thing that will not be customization. If a player chooses to not be included in the game, he will not be created in the game by any users. Although Hope wouldn't say how they would prevent that, only that it would not be allowed. So sounds like the only downside that we may have to, actually having the players in the game now and not having to edit the roster ourselves is it seems like we may not have as much roster customization options as far as player name and stuff like that is concerned, according to, this article today. And it's another interesting thing that came out that I don't think I was expecting here. This kind of threw me off guard because I was like, what the fuck? They're not going to be in there. But players are in, teams are in. What about coaches? Real life coaches like Kirby Smart or Lane Kiffin will not be in EA Sports College Football 25. So, unfortunately, that's looks like a con, but that's just something minuscule. Maybe we'll be able to have the ability to edit coach names at least, and you can edit your coach in if you want. Who knows if they'll give us that ability or not. We know on the last version of NCAA football that we had, you had the ability to have offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, head coach, and you could start your career that way. Hopefully they still have that level of detail going on in Dynasty mode yet again, and you're still able to do that, even though it's not going to be the real life coaches in the game. But I would say that this is probably just an issue that they'll have resolved in the future. They'll maybe cut a deal with the coaches to get them involved as well. Because as you see here, it said it doesn't mean coaches are forever going to be out of the game. EA Sports Vice President told ESPN the company is considering ways to offer coaches the opportunity to opt in beyond year one. So in future games and future installments, it sounds like. But we know they're not in there on this one, looking like it may happen in the future. So no real life coaches, but that leads to this question, of course. If no coaches, what about the play styles? Is West Virginia going to play like West Virginia, as I'm a fan of them? If you're a fan of Michigan, are they going to play like Michigan? Oregon's going to play like Oregon. USC is going to play, Lincoln Riley style offense, even though Lincoln Riley's not in the game. Hopefully. This goes back to game and program integrity. Holt said the focus is to make sure teams in the game play like the teams in real life do. You almost could say there's 134 different ways to play, Holt said, because of the different nuances of different programs, from off field recruiting to on field play. That includes the play styles of each team, which meant building out new plays and sets to match formations in the game. Holt said the plan is to show that wide open aspect of explosive gameplay in college football, which can be vastly different from the NFL. So that's fucking positive news. There are maybe some bits that come out of this that disappoint you a little bit, but I think all in all, this is a very positive update, especially knowing that, they're making the focus on the teams, the players, the pageantry of the game. I can deal with them, not focusing on coaches right now if they're getting the gameplay and everything else right, which it sounds like they're going out of their way to do, as they continue to state here a little bit involved with the feel of the game, that pageantry and shit that I'm talking about. While the game will be on the same engine as Madden, it should look and feel different than its NFL counterpart. EA has been gathering sounds, stadium renderings, and more from schools for a while. Uniforms, all that. We've talked about this in previous updates here on the channel. Of course, you saw some of the uniform rendering they were doing in the trailer they released. We know all the assets they've been gathering from programs. I mean, it's a shit ton from each program. I mean, they're going to have your schools, I know West Virginia does a chant after first downs. I'm expecting that to be in the game. They're talking about songs you play after, certain quarters. They're trying to obtain the rights for that. If it's an actual, needle drop type soundtrack song, they're going to try and acquire the rights for that to have it in the game if, enough programs use it. So they're really trying to nail this down as far as the pageantry is concerned and shit. And also, to want to add into this, they are not allowed to use anything, from NCAA football 14. This is an entirely new, different game, entirely new license. They don't have the NCAA license like those previous games used. So they can't use, those stadiums. They can't use, one piece of, detail from those games. So they had to completely render all the stadiums as well. So when they're reaching out to these schools for information, they were getting, pictures of the stadium to recreate these stadiums. So they're going to be more true to what they look like now than ever before, because these are, photos that people took just recently. So it's going to look like your team stadium looks like today. And that's pretty fucking awesome as well. I know West Virginia's done a ton of renovations, obviously, over the past decade, as I'm sure a lot of other college programs have. So it's going to be cool to see the updated stadiums in the game as well. So the pageantry, I'm expecting to 100% be there. Holt wouldn't divulge much on announcers, including whether there would be multiple announced teams and some of who the announcers might be. But we've pretty much confirmed Kirk Herbstreit's in the game. ESPN's in the game, obviously. I mean, ESPN's releasing this article. They're obviously having ties to the game yet again. College Game Day is pretty much confirmed to be in the game, making its return to the college football series. And I know there's a video going around of Charles Davis, that does the announcing on Madden, talking about that Madden's going to have multiple announced teams that you can select from. So that's led to the rumor that maybe you won't only have ESPN in this college football game. Maybe they're going to work out something where you can have, CBS and even Fox announcers as well. Maybe you can get Gus Davis in here. That would be pretty cool if they have multiple announced teams involved. That'd be pretty fucking sweet. But as we know, as I said in the trailer, full reveal coming in May. EA Sports will reveal more specifics in May, according to Holt. This year's edition is evidently the foundation for what the game will be in future years, since they are making this from scratch. He said he played a complete game using two teams Tuesday morning. He wouldn't say which ones, but that it's got a unique feel at this point. There's a lot of polishing the development team is still working on to be ready for summer release, but Holt said it is on schedule. So boom, there we have it, guys. Pretty fucking massive update for EA Sports College Football 25. We're getting closer and closer to, more info coming out about this game. It's going to continue to leak out. But the big news, of course, is players now going to be able to opt into the game. And as we know, it's been leaking on social media, as I said earlier in the video. This is courtesy of the Is It Out EA account on X. Players have began receiving emails from EA to opt into the game. As you see here, new one-team partners NIL opportunity. One-team partners would like to include you in a game opportunity with EA for getting the game with EA Sports College Football. Log into the Compass app to opt in now, which apparently a lot of college athletes already use this Compass app, so it shouldn't be difficult for them. They opt in. And then once they opt in, of course, we now know that they will be receiving a free copy of the game, which is pretty fucking cool in and of itself. I would do it just for that if I was a player and wouldn't have to pay me anything. But in addition, they're getting $600 as well, which is a pretty good amount. And, EA Sports certainly putting some money into this thing, because that's over, I think I saw the number, well over 11,000 athletes across the 134 teams. So, you add that up, that's a pretty fine chunk of money. And some of these, bigger names will, of course, have chances to make even more additional money with the game, probably promoting it once they get into marketing mode come May. The cover athlete, I'm sure, will get a bonus as well. So it's going to be fun to see how things play out. And once ratings start coming out, and there's going to be plenty of updates on that and everything else involved with EA Sports College Football. And I'm going to be covering it here on JC's Pop Culture. So if you're a fan of the game, be sure to subscribe here. Also, if you're a fan of movies, TV shows, especially superheroes, comedy, horror, talking about that a shit ton here as well. So if you're a fan of those things, ride along with me here on the channel, provide updates on the game, and we'll talk some movies and TV shows and have a lot of fun. But let me know your thoughts here on this big news update here in regards to EA Sports College Football, the NIL, both, in real life and, of course, now what we know being involved in the game, as well as some other updates that we didn't know about. Are you upset about coaches not being in the game? However you're feeling, let me know in the comments. Appreciate those interactions. Help with the YouTube algorithm and all that shit. If you made it this far in the video, hit the thumbs up button. As always, I'm JC. Appreciate you watching this one, and I'll catch you on the next one.